Hey there, Z Nation fans! Welcome to another episode of the Z Nation After Show on AFTERBUZZ TV. Tonight we are talking about Season 3, Episode 7, depending on how you count. There are so many different ways of counting it. Heart of Darkness. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about, and we have a very special guest. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin!
Well, holy hell, guys. That was a thing that just happened.
What even is this episode?
I feel like those last 2 minutes just like, it was like running into a brick wall with like, what?
In case we didn't hurt your heart enough, here are some curveballs to look forward to.
You have like 3 cliffhangers! Yay! We've hit the halfway point in the season. Have fun. We're officially over the hump. It's episode 8-ish.
9. It's episode 9, Heart of Darkness.
Officially episode 9. But there are so many different ways of counting it. It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, hey there, Z Nation fans. Welcome to another episode of the Z Nation After Show on AFTERBUZZ TV. Tonight we are talking about Season 3, Episode 9, Heart of Darkness. Again, so much to talk about tonight. Let me go ahead and introduce my fantastic panel. To my left, Katie Cullen.
Hi, all my buddies. You can find me on Twitter at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet.
Michelle Cullen.
Hey, everyone. You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
We have a very special guest. Joining us is the director of tonight's episode, Abram Cox.
Hello, and you can find me on Twitter at TC Abram.
Yeah!
Yes! Yeah!
Yes!
They're teaching me this whole Twitter thing.
You're doing great. And I'm Megan Salinas. You guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. We are also going to be keeping an eye on the hashtag ABTVZNation. Did you already give the shout out for the live chat?
I've not, but I have the live chat going, and I'm already talking to some of you in it. Hi!
Hello,
Hey,
everyone.
Hi, all my buddies.
So, lot happened just now. How are y'all feeling?
Yeah, no, that was good. That summed that up.
Dying whale noises.
I went back to the season finale of Season 2 to see what the final words were between Warren and Vasquez, and I was like, oh.
And what were they?
Well, the final words were, watch out for those puppies and kittens. And he said, same to you. But before that, she said, do what you have to do, but who are you going to be when you pull that trigger?
Someone else!
And we know what happened when he didn't. So it's just,
rough.
Oh, friend, no. So he went way off the deep end.
A little bit. Before we get into that, Abram, again, having directed this episode, what is it like watching the fan reaction to this episode? Because I imagine people were very vocal while live tweeting on Friday, I'm sure.
Do you just make popcorn and then...
It was a lot of fun, actually. It was one of those things where I believe, if I'm correct, I was just sort of sitting there in bed till about like midnight or 2 in the morning because the tweets didn't stop. And it was just basically one person after another, like mostly harping at Carl, going, hey, man, why did you do this to us? Why did you rip my heart out? And Carl's pretty much like, well, I drink my martini with your tears, you know?
Carl's behind the official Z Nation Twitter, isn't he?
Is
that him?
He's sometimes he will. It's pretty funny. And he's got a sharp wit, so it's always fun to do. And it was fun also because, Michael Cassett, the writer of the episode and everything, when we were doing this and we were sitting around, talking about the demise of what we were going to do. I guess we can do spoilers at this point.
For this episode.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Totally. All right. So basically it was just like, let's cut off his head.
Oh, man.
Just call it good. And the head itself did not zombify?
No. Well, there was a sound, really subtle sound, when Hopper goes down and he pulls the sword and he goes down. You hear it. It's a really subtle sound.
Okay, because we were looking for some sort of justification.
We were not
those type of
allowed
nerds
to.
that are like, that should have become a zombie.
Yeah, the thing is there was a really. This is why you see, the blood dripping off the bottom, and you don't see a head wound or anything, but you see kind of blood on the head. But the reason we weren't able to show that as sort of network standards and practices, you're in all seriousness, you can do whatever you want to a zombie. You can't do whatever you want to
a
human.
person.
It's
even if that person is just a decapitated head.
Totally.
But you can wrap them in barbed wire and electrocute them.
But you
That's
can wrap them
thing.
in barbed wire and electrocute them.
Dear God.
Yes.
Standards and practices confuses me to no end. I'll never really fully understand
I know.
where the line is.
Yeah, Z Nation and Dave Chappelle pushing boundaries.
Two very different ways of tap dancing around S&P.
It's like a tagline for a TV channel I'd watch. I don't know.
That actually I would watch a lot too.
Z Nation and Dave Chappelle.
The Dave Chappelle and Z Nation network. I like it.
I would watch that. I would watch that TV program.
That's true. You know, now that you say that, we have to put a shout out to Dave Chappelle. He should be on the show.
He was fantastic.
This is the second Walking Dead shout out we've had in 2 weeks.
Oh,
the crack about the baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire.
Yes. That was
and last week it was, he got pulled into the dumpster. No one could have survived that. I will never get over that. The shade is beautiful.
I absolutely adored the little Negan reference this time around. Since obviously Vasquez is the thing that we're talking about right now, let's not, there's no need to go back. Let's just get right into Vasquez is El Scorpion. So where did the idea come about of like the idea that, because he seemed pretty together the last time we saw him before he ran off. So when you guys are approaching this episode, what in your guys' mind has happened to him between then and now where he's just completely lost his mind and created this new identity for himself?
I think the idea was that, you know, because there's you get some time passage that happens in different parts of the season 3 especially, but like I think the idea was that when he went off into, you know, the woods, he was going off on his own, solitary confinement, that pushing him to be, you know, what's your game plan to stay alive? And I think for people like Vasquez, or for people like Hector, or for people like Warren, any of these people who are the quote-unquote survivors that you see going on, and they're in some kind of leadership position, or have had some kind of leadership position, they're looking to try to make purpose in a world without purpose. I mean, you know, it's kind of like what everybody's doing after this election.
I wasn't going to go there, but okay.
Yeah.
We live there.
We have a whiteboard at our apartment, and we had Make America America Again. And then after Tuesday, it's like, that's not as funny anymore.
No, it really isn't. I mean, it was really, really funny at the time, and the episode itself is still funny, but it's also kind of like...
It's still a hilarious episode. But, like, just having that on our board is like, that was a lot less funny 24 hours ago.
Can't do it.
I told Drazig and Delandra, the writer and the director of that episode, I was like, oh, man, holes are a wall. We should, like, you know... we should maybe start joining in on his cabinet and be like, hey, we've got some ideas for you. Exactly.
Yeah, there's a website where you can do that.
Oh, you're joking?
No.
You're not joking.
I'm not. Anyway, we are.
Wow.
We'll talk about that after the show.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Can we sign up to be Sketchy and Skeezy's new dancing girls? Like, I think that'd be fun.
There you go.
That'd be a fun occupation.
Yep. Yes, but I'd rather not die.
Yeah, that definitely is part of the downside.
A little bit.
But yeah, again, seeing Vasquez again, I wanna put it to the table. What was your guys' reactions knowing we were gonna get Vasquez back in this episode? Because I gotta say, I can't say I was anticipating him to be dead by the time this episode was done.
That's good, because I was terrified the marketing had totally screwed it for you, but that's good.
No, I mean, the marketing gave away the reveal that he was a scorpion, but I did not expect what happened to happen at all. I cried a little.
I expected him to
I'm gonna say that into the mic more. I cried a little.
I expected him to be himself and fully conscious of the fact that he's pretending to be a scorpion. Like, I was expecting him to be, oh yeah, no, I totally know who I am, but I'm also totally a scorpion for the purposes of running the Red Hand. I was not expecting this full-on break from reality.
Yeah.
That I did not think would happen, and just like, oh, bye. Like, oh.
I mean, when you look at his life in an objective view lens, though, like, he witnessed his family get murdered by this man who he swore to avenge their deaths. He found out about the zombie apocalypse at the funeral of his wife
that
and
was
child
messed up.
when the coffin started moving. Still not over that, sir.
It's not something you should really ever get over.
No.
Like, ever.
And his entire driving force in surviving the apocalypse, his one-man mission was to kill a scorpion, and then he gave him mercy in the form of letting him live, and something very well may have snapped in that time, and he might have experienced a sort of psychotic break where he regretted his decision to let him live, and it started to torment him, and he went a little crazy.
Yeah, that's a good way of going about it. And not to mention that you have to do a lot of terrible things just in general to stay alive in the zombie apocalypse. And I think that's really highlighted with a literal neon sign that says guilty.
But the framing for some of that, just the sign and her standing with, oh my God, I need that as my new desktop wallpaper. Someone grab that for me. I need that as my desktop wallpaper.
We'll get you the high-res versions of that.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
Yes.
I'll put it up at work and have people be like, are you okay? Like, I'm fine. It's great.
I saw it and I loved it, and I still had to take a moment, though, to be like, who had a neon guilty sign? How did they find that?
Do you special order that after the apocalypse?
Where did they find that specific word?
Judge Judy's courtroom.
Yes.
I don't know.
Or like some
awful
sort of reality
TV
show.
Yeah.
No, it was one of those things where, Carl and Cassett both had a really strong idea about what they wanted to make this room be. So, shouts out to the cinematographer, Fetty. He's like amazing. Basically, Fetty and I were talking about it, and we're like, all right, let's just do everything as much silhouette as possible with really just saturated reds and not really show too much of the face in any of the violence of it all. But in the reactions is where you're going to get the emotional response to these people. But in the violence of it, everybody's equal. So that was kind of the creating that contrast was really important to us. And then on top of it, the guilty sign was we got this great drawing from Alex, which is a really talented artist, Schaefer's nephew.
Oh,
and
nice.
Alex, he's a sweet kid, really talented kid. And I mean, I come from a storyboard background, so anytime somebody's gonna do a lot of due diligence and draw and put some thought into, hey, here's some ideas and concepts to work with the production designers and get everybody on the same page, I'm all for it.
I think that really shines through a lot with your episodes in particular. Usually if there's an episode where we go, ooh, what a great shot, we look at the credits and we're like, oh, okay, Abram did that one. Yep, that makes sense.
Well, and we kept pausing this one and going, look at that.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty incredible.
Well, thank you. I can't take all the credit. It's like always too much or too little, but like the fact is like, yeah, Fetty was really big on that, and Vince, who's our production designer, just went 100% out with it. So both those guys really knocked it out of the park, I thought.
Now, doing a lot of those silhouette shots, when you're working with the fight choreography and everything like that, is a lot of the silhouetting done kind of more in post a little bit so that you guys can actually see that the actors don't run into each other or miss their marks or anything?
Actually, no. Like when you're on the day, you're exposing for the backlight and you're getting that stark silhouette in the foreground. And we've got Alex Tierzieff, who's he and Keith Cox come in and they'll coordinate all the fights and stunts and whatnot. And that was one of those days. Actually, that was one of those days where, from a production point of view, you always hear these behind the scene things. We do a lot in a short amount of time. Like I don't think people realize, like, we prep in 6 days, we shoot in 6 days. And a lot of times we prep in 6 days and we shoot in 5 days. And this was a 6-day episode, but we were under the gun, and I think we had to do this entire sequence in about an hour and a half.
Holy cow.
No, I'm not lying.
Jeez,
and normally you get you get several days to do a sequence that's fairly complicated, but on the show, credit to all the people involved, what you're looking at is coming up in the finale, which is the most fresh in my mind in terms of production, because this we shot like middle of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, in the finale, there's a fight sequence in that we shot in 45 minutes. Like,
holy cow!
It was insane. It was like how little of, and you've got producers turning up. How many setups do you have? I've got about 35 setups. That's way too much. I realize that. It's give me 10 seconds here, and then they're going totally cool. You guys do it, and you're looking over at the cinematographer. You're looking at the AD, and you're going, all right, cool. So if we do this, this, and this, and prioritize these, then we're going to be good. And it was the same thing in this situation. Fortunately, you know. What we did a little differently than what I would normally do is a lot of times I'll storyboard and animatic out the action.
That's
so that
cool.
we do like a video run, and we didn't have time to do that for the prep on this particular episode. So I just said to Fetty, I said, okay, cool. So let's just follow the action. We're gonna keep it really, really basic and really simple in terms of give me a stark graphic composition, and then we'll break it down once we get the big graphic composition. So we did this side of the room, this side of the room, and then we broke it down into the components. And we specifically were like going for that graphic novel, Frank Miller.
Definitely like little Sin City.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Glorious.
Go for the composition, not the camera move, like that kind of thing. It was, you know.
That's incredible, especially like this is we've heard it several times this season. Just this phenomenal story of like, yeah, we did that chase sequence in an afternoon because we had to.
Yep.
We needed 5 more minutes, so we went out and shot for an hour.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm constantly getting blown away by your guys' stories this season of just making miracles happen on a very, very tight deadline.
Oh yeah, and the deadlines for season 3 are actually much tighter than the ones for season 2. So season 2 we were still doing 6-day prep, 6-day shoots, but we were able to squeeze in a little bit more second unit here and there as we would go through, or we were able to fudge an edit lock a little bit. And this season there was just no room for it, so everybody was kind of in the mindset with blinders on, like, all right, here we go. And as soon as the emergency brake came off and the cars went out of the, you know, it was nuts.
Yeah.
It's like Pinewood Derby, just go.
That's exactly it, because there
There
is
are no
no like,
brakes.
woo. Yeah, it's
just
pretty
kinda
much like,
stops at
ah.
the end when you run out of momentum.
It's totally true. There's a lot of screaming involved. No, I'm joking.
There's a lot of screaming involved in Pinewood Derby too.
mostly like everybody's super chill about, like, you know, everybody kind of knows what the finite variables are, so you just kind of go, all right, what do I have time for? So you don't obsess or fret over what you don't have time for. You do the best with what you do have time for, and I think that's a testament to everybody on the team, you know.
I agree.
Yeah.
Although not just the action sequences in this particular episode that are kind of outstanding, I would say that something that even blows those away are the intimate moments.
Yeah.
That kiss between Warren and Vasquez, I was like, I was glued to the screen. Yeah.
One of these days, I'm going to remember to actually get my fan out of my purse and bring it up with me to the panel, so I will have a fan to do that.
For those of you listening on iTunes, Katie indicated that
The
she had the vapors.
The vapors.
The vapors. Oh, heavens to Betsy.
Well,
So yeah, directing those more intimate moments, what do you find to be more difficult?
You know, the action scenes, I find you can kind of bang through if you have to, and a lot of times, much to the chagrin of you know, stunts or someone, I will push us through those faster. I try not to, because I know that there's certain kinds of gags that we need to do that are going to take a lot of time. Like, as an example, the head being cut off.
Yeah.
That's something where, like, I'm like, all right, that's going to take us about, and no joke, it took 67 takes to get the head to roll.
Oh my goodness.
But like, the thing is you know it's going to take 67 takes for a shot that won't really look like it took 67 takes. And it's just because of, you know, somebody's having to roll this head. We're doing it in a very, low budget kind of way. So essentially, those kind of shots, you just say, all right, we're going to kick those, and we'll try to minimize the amount of things that we're going to kick off the schedule, but we're going to kick that off the schedule because when everybody's there and you've got the actors and you're wanting to go for something that, rings true, even though you're in a world that is sort of turned upside down, and there's a lot of guilty pleasure humor that goes on, just like the episode before this. There's tons of fun type of slapstick stuff that can come out of this universe.
Wheel. There's so much great stuff.
Yeah.
The Liberty Bell.
Exactly. The Liberty Bell, the cheese wheel. When you flip into a sequence like this where you're actually going to, knock off two people and you really want to tie up the bowstrings of the emotions that they've always had, whether those emotions were expressed outwardly on all the other episodes or whether those emotions were subtextual or, whether they were just implied in, just looks here and there. You want to go through and you want to be able to nail that kind of intimacy with these guys because there is, among certain characters, intimacy. I don't think all the characters have intimacy, but some of the characters have intimacy, and Vasquez and Warren definitely did. And luckily I'd done episode 206, which is where they stitched themselves up, and then also 12 and 13, where they actually have the showdown with a scorpion, etc. And it was really important that we get everything we could with both of those actors that was performance-based and not technical or not stunts or not, gaggy. It needed to be, let's be as simple as possible because that's why we're here. That's why, as you've probably heard a lot of times, that's why somebody flew in on an airplane off of another show to sit down for 3-4 days, and you're taking that time out of their schedule. It's like you really want to nail that beat versus just okay, yeah, we got it. Let's just 2 takes. Let's move on. It's like, no, let's get all the right angles on that. And if you look at the edit is designed in such a way to maximize their looks and hold their looks, because you see the cut is actually on the motion of the hand coming up behind the head. And when you see that, to me, there is nothing sexier. I hope I don't get sued for this, but there's nothing sexier than seeing somebody's hand go up around somebody's neck like that. And just the idea of touch, the idea of touch is something that is just, oh, you're turning bright red. I feel so bad.
You're sitting next to the one person who has a bubble that you're good though.
Okay, all right, that's all good.
It's also very funny because all of our guests sit right there, so whenever they feel like getting affectionate, it's always Michelle.
Oh,
it's okay.
It's
Anastasia
It's all right.
abused the crap out of that when I was on her.
Well, Anastasia,
she's coming back.
Every time that she's been on, she's like, I want to play with your hair. Let's hug.
Oh,
So she's just
Anastasia.
like, hi.
I'll tell you a tiny secret about Anastasia.
Oh, do.
Okay, the tiny secret about Anastasia is that she created Sexual Harassment Thursday. So when you
Please give us some context so that doesn't sound as bad as it sounds.
It's not as bad as it sounds.
It's like
it just means
Friday.
it just means you can be goofy and flirt and make silly jokes. And the thing is that but Anastasia is she's that warm personality that breaks down barriers. So hopefully you'll be on a Thursday. And then what you do is you just reach over, and I won't do it to you, but you reach over and just underneath the desk, just put your hand on her thigh and be like, hey, it's Thursday.
It's Thursday somewhere. No, it really is.
There you
Not
go.
true.
It's Thursday
There you
somewhere.
That
There
is
you
true.
go.
Nowhere.
It's Thursday in our hearts.
I'm probably going to get a text or something from her that's going to be like, WTF.
It's Thursday in our
Shout out.
hearts.
Sorry, Annie.
If that's an open invitation,
Are you really?
If that's an open invitation to come back on set, I will gladly take it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you guys should totally come on Thursday. That's I'm serious. That would be hilarious.
Oh,
That would be
so
totally hilarious.
So to kind of get back to
They're on Thursday, weren't we?
I don't remember which days. It might have been a Thursday and a Friday.
That was our tour. Was Thursday.
But they may have been minding their P's and Q's for you guys.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I kept having to remind you guys, hey, listen, I know I'm not supposed to swear a lot, but on set I swear a lot. Sorry.
No, it's totally fine. But yeah, no, to get kind of back to this moment and talking about, how you want those emotions to ring true, you especially want that because we are, we didn't know this at the time, but by the time the episode is done, we are saying goodbye to this character who was with us for an entire season. Mm-hmm. I shipped him and Warren together like none other. I was like,
You know that's why he died.
Yeah.
You know that is absolutely why he died.
Yeah. People Warren falls cursed. For. It's unfortunate. So we actually
That's very locus of you.
Unfortunate. We had a question from the hashtag. I believe it. Yeah, it's Mike _New York on Twitter.
Mike.
Warren never called. That was a little earlier. Vasquez finally. That's not it. Oh, here we go. Although Mike has given us some really good stuff, and I'll read it out in a second. But Beth Ann Murphy on Twitter, on a scale of 1 to 10, how badly did your heart break for Warren? And this is to everybody here.
Ooh. 8.
7.
I'll go with a 10 because she had to actually physically stab him.
Well, she did.
And it was right after Hector went down too. So yeah, no, I'll bump that off of it.
I don't know. I'm a bit of a sadist. I'm the guy who kept like.
Hit him again, harder.
You don't even know the half of it. That's happened before.
Tell us the half of it, please.
Okay, harkening back to 206 when Matt Stainio comes back from, being at the verge of death. I said to, and I love Matt, but I walk up to Kalita and I said, hey, just so you know, I need this reaction to be real, and I don't know any other way to get it. So when you actually are waiting for him to go, Matt, just lay there and then just punch him as hard as you can in the effing stomach. And she looked at me and she goes, what? And I was like, Matt, you're cool with this, right, buddy? And Matt goes, you owe me a drink. And I was like, yeah, no problem. It did take me a year. So cut to, we're on this episode after we finish it and we've killed him, and they've gone through their whole rigmarole, and he and Emilio accidentally have like hit each other a few times in the course of
their scuffle.
12, 13 and this last fight. They always go for it. Like they're like the two best people if you ever want to have to deal with that. Like in Warren, like all three of those, like Kalita, Matt, and Emilio are the best. They're just hilarious. 100%. But Matt and I finally sit down and I buy him a drink, and he's like, what's this for? And I'm like, this is for like, this season, last season.
All those
and
times I had you punched.
Exactly. So Matt, I've had a really good time with both of them, and Kalita and Matt, of being a complete, sadist and asking them, oh, can we just do that one more time? And, Kalita's like sitting here. Yeah, Coxie, yeah.
Oh!
She's like sitting there crying, and I'm like going, no, I mean, take your time like that. I do have to, like, say that it would be good if we could do it in the next 5 minutes.
Take your time, but not too much of it.
Exactly, and she's like, okay. So it's like, you get that, and then you get Matt, of course, who's like,
Well, and I feel really bad, talking about Matt getting punched repeatedly last season, because last season he got injured doing the pilot, and it sounded like he was hurt for several episodes as a result of that.
He got injured 202. Yeah. That was with John Hyams. That was the and John is like the master of action, right? Hyams is hilarious. He's like the master of action, and Hyams is like, Hyams has this gruff voice. Have you guys had Hyams on the show?
I feel like we did a while ago.
Hyams has this gruff voice, and he's like, all right, Matt, so I want you to run up. He's gonna kill me for this terrible accent, but he's like, all right, Matt, so I want you to run over there and do this thing and da 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 da, and it's just a straightforward run, and Matt's like, yeah, cool, no problem. Like it's really like run and duck and move and this and that and the other, and Matt goes to do it. He's having to do the jump or whatever he's doing, and the next thing you know, he like goes. And he's like pulled the groin, and
Oh,
and you just see Hyams standing there at his monitor to do this. He goes, which means, okay, I got to think through how we're gonna get out of this.
We haven't had him on the show yet.
I was on set.
We have failed as a guest booker.
I was on set for seeing that moment with John, and John's a real legend. He's funny. He's awesome.
We need to have him. I feel like I have failed as a guest booker. I say with my perfect record so far.
I was gonna say, well, definitely put him on the list of people we need to hear from for sure.
And according to my spreadsheet, this is actually episode 10.
No, the thing is in the room, the opening for this season, the movie
was 1 and 2, yeah.
It was essentially 1 and 2.
Yeah, the spreadsheet accommodates for that. This is episode 10.
Well, again, it counts. The pilot is 1 and 2, but depending on where you look, the pilot only counts as 1.
Right.
We get this whenever we have an hour or a 2-hour premiere for a season. It just messes up the numbering for like the rest of the entire season.
Maybe it is okay. I don't know. I ordered them on Amazon, and Amazon said it was episode 9. So I'm sorry for my false vibrato at the beginning of this.
Well, Amazon thinks that the pilot is just episode 1.
It calls it 1 and 2.
And
then I don't know what Amazon's doing.
This was episode 10.
You're not in the minority of people who are confused by it. On IMDb, this is episode 9.
Yeah.
Okay. On IMDb, this is episode 9.
I'm willing to call it episode 9, episode 8, whatever you guys want to call it. I am down.
Oh, it's up in the air.
Yep. Well, and that's why I was so confused last week when we did the show, because I couldn't find the preview for episode 9, but I found the preview for episode 10, and I was like, how is this in existence? How did we skip ahead?
How did that happen?
I know who is Scorpion
Magic.
is, and then it's like, oh, that is the next episode. I'm not that cool.
you like
I'm
found
not
a
that cool.
super special exclusive
I got back
thing.
down off of my little pedestal.
To get back to Twitter, Mike definitely says Vasquez finally got his revenge on Escorpion, and he was relentless with that stabbing. And Warren never called him Javier before, always Vasquez. But when he called her Roberta, it was poignant. So
It was.
Absolutely, definitely a lot of emotional things getting tied up here, and yeah, again, it's really sad to say goodbye to this character, especially after having been away, undergone some tragedy, and this terrible transformation, and then coming back a completely different person. And then getting a glimmer of the person he used to be before he gets killed. Ugh.
And that was something that, like, Carl and Michael Cassett and we sat around and Cassett really did a great job of tying in, like, how do we build up and make it make sense that she goes to the length of chopping off his head.
Yeah.
And that's because I feel so sick saying it, but in the apocalypse, chopping off somebody's head is an act of love.
Aww.
It's like, if you think about it, it's an act of love. It's like, hey, look, I'm really sorry that, like, you got to go out this way, but this is the best I can do for you. So.
He's not the first person she's had to mercy. He won't be the last.
So
go be with your family.
Utterly real.
Yeah. That was. Again, that was.
You're obviously not having a good time down here, so we're just gonna. Send you off to the farm.
And again, at the end of the day, Warren is a woman on with a mission who has a quest, and right now he's standing in her way, and even if it hurts, he's a threat that needs to be taken down.
Yeah.
And now she's a Scorpion.
Yeah.
We'll see if she goes by the moniker, but
yeah,
she has a Scorpion
She
army.
is definitely their leader now, though.
I doubt that she will go by a Scorpion, but everyone's kind of like, yeah, that person. Her.
Now,
yep.
Now, again, not to get too much into predictions, but we have to talk about what happened to Hector a little bit, because he gets stabbed, and Sunmay injects him with her own version of the cure, the zombie virus, the vaccine. So, and something happens to him. Is he a new type? And again, we don't want any spoilers, Abrams, so sorry about this, but But we have to talk about this. This is
totally
one of the things we have to do.
I'll tell you as much as I can.
What do we think has happened to him right now?
I don't know. I just want to give a shout out to the line where Sunmay was talking about the experimental vaccine, and Hector said, "I don't want to be the first to find out."
No!
Yeah, that happened. That happened in this episode.
That's Cassett setting up the
up
the tea
Michael,
right there.
you monster!
That human being, I swear.
Yeah.
She said that she'd collected zombie blood and was using that to change up the vaccine, and I'm sitting here going, we have animal zombies and now he has cat's eyes. I'm having a Harry Potter moment where you grab the wrong hair for the polyjuice potion.
See, and I had a supernatural moment where I was like, the yellow-eyed demon's back. And then I was like, that's a different TV show.
Completely different show.
Yeah.
Different flavor of horror. Different.
Well, Emilio was on Twitter, and there was, because, like I said, I'm not much of a tweeter, I guess. But, like, I was seeing all these people going, "Oh, you just killed off my favorite character. F you. We hate you."
Wait for
That's
it.
and Carl was like, on Twitter too, and he's going, no, just hang in there. Just don't stop watching. And then Emilio comes into it because Emilio was in Atlanta and he didn't have television where he was at. Whatever he was doing in Atlanta, he wasn't able to see the show. And he's going, "I don't know if I'm dead or not yet, guys. I'm getting different feedback here. What's going on?" So, like,
Season 4.
It was pretty funny. So the whole night kind of goes like that, and I sent Emilio a wink on Twitter about it. Like, it's all good. I'll call you tomorrow, buddy. But I called him and I said to him, a couple days ago after, right after the episode aired, and I said to him, I was like, "So, I saw your tweet last night." And he was like, "Well, am I dead?" And I was like, I don't know, but I can tell you that you opened your eyes and that they looked like cat's eyes. And he goes, "What?"
I'm assuming that all happened in post. Then.
He's like, we did it all in post. And I remember.
So he had no idea.
Oh,
it's true. Amazing. It's true. And I kept saying to him, "Hey, man, let's snap your eyes open even more on this. Let's do it again. Let's go like that." And he was like, "What's going on with me like this?" I remember when we were shooting the shot. And I was like, "Hey, don't worry about it, Emilio."
It's just
I actually remained blissfully ignorant of everything in this episode until I happened to see Emilio's tweet. And I was like, I swore a lot. Because I fought for him very hard after he fell into a pit of zombies.
See, and I didn't watch it day of, and I follow the Z Nation Twitter, and they put up the clip where Warren stabs Vasquez, and I was like, "Oh, autoplay on Twitter. That occurred."
You got spoiled for
I
that?
did, and I didn't tell you.
You both got spoiled for this episode, and I didn't?
Yeah.
Although, it should have...
I don't know how you managed that, but congratulations.
Blinders. I ignored Twitter for the most part. But they're, like, especially on Friday nights, because I don't get to watch it on Friday, I start scrolling through, and the second I start seeing Z Nation stuff, I'm like, no. bad phone, no. And so but I should have technically been spoiled a little bit. We were actually chatting with Michael the other day, and I was like, "I haven't seen this week's episode yet." He's like, "Oh, you should definitely get Matt in." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course it'd be great to have him in because he's the newest Scorpion." Did not occur to me that he's like, "You should have Matt in
because
because of our long-standing tradition of booking people on the episode where they die."
And he said it with a smile too. "Michael, you and I are gonna have words later."
Did you have that conversation when I walked away? I feel like you did.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have more to talk about, and we're running short on time.
We've had some fun stuff in the live chat. Anna pointing out that Hector constantly foreshadows stuff this season.
He's like a prophet.
Mac Daddy Geek saying, a dark secret part of me hoped a Scorpion would be Danny Trejo.
I would have geeked out so hard.
That would have been pretty great.
Another one that
good casting.
Cannot find. Week after week, you guys always have the best guests. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
And Boo saying, Hector can't die. He's like Captain Jack Harkness. He can't die. I don't know when the last time he was that watched Torchwood, but Jack dies a lot.
A scorpion
Like,
doesn't die, he kills.
a lot.
Yeah.
Anna in the chat. A scorpion doesn't die, he kills.
Nice. Well done, Anna.
I feel like we need a Scorpion lines instead of Chuck Norris
We'll
lines.
see how true that is in the coming episode.
But he's not a Scorpion anymore.
That's true.
Technically, a Scorpion has died twice.
We don't know what's happened to him. It could be Scorpion zombie blood in there. We don't know.
Dear, oh my God.
We don't know. He could become the literal Scorpion. You
Crab
don't know.
people, crab people. Well, we had spider zombies off screen at some point.
Oh, the hands. Yeah.
I mean, they actually
hands.
mentioned spider zombies in a different episode.
We didn't even touch on that, though.
Yeah, we had the Cousin It stuff going on.
Going through the catacombs, again, like having just these dark, like, oh, is that rats? No, it is zombie appendages just crawling around down there.
It's full on Cousin It.
Yeah,
Seriously.
Yeah, it's the Addams Family.
Or no,
Yeah.
Cousin
Thing.
It's the fluffy one. It's the thing.
Yeah,
You're right.
it's the thing.
Herp,
But yeah, I just, as an aside, the idea that, they're going around in the catacombs of Seattle, I just want to point out to everybody who doesn't already know this about me, but the Parisian catacombs are literally the scariest thing in the world to me. Like, the idea of the Parisian catacombs and getting lost in the Parisian catacombs. So the fact that they're in catacombs, that there are zombies running around after getting executed, and that there are zombie appendages wandering around in the dark, making creepy noises... That's not okay, guys.
Hard pass?
Well, and
Hard pass.
We've been in the catacombs in Edinburgh, and they tell you at the start of the tour, do not get separated, do not get separated, do not get separated. You will get lost, and we will not be able to find you.
I'm sure you
Like,
watched
okay.
that horror movie.
As Above, So Below.
Yeah.
I actually haven't seen it yet, but I heard surprisingly good things about it.
Yeah, that one involves Parisian catacombs and an actual portal to hell.
There you go.
So, question mark.
That was one of those ones where it's like, not sure if
what?
stupid or not sure if terrified.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
And
But
again,
I think we
I
have a
heard
couple things that we need to...
We do. I heard surprisingly good things about it. But yes, we need to move on. Because there are actually a few other things we need to talk about in this episode. Is there anything else about the Scorpion and Red Hand stuff that we want to touch on before we have to move on? Because we got to move on.
I want to say that I liked Hopper a little bit, and I also hated him a lot of bit.
I liked
Yeah.
him too.
He was a creeper to the extreme,
Yes.
making inappropriate comments and gestures towards Sun May. He told her to smile at one point, and I was not having that.
No.
Yeah, Hopper's an interesting one. Again, all of that stuff, not okay. But, like, when he's not being a creeper towards her, he's one of those oddly likable rogues.
Right?
He's
You know?
very charismatic in that sort of punch him in the teeth way.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot of those in the apocalypse, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, Dylan Vox, the guy who plays that guy, he came in 100% full charge, knowing the guy that he was gonna play, and yeah, he did a really good job
did
of
really
making that
well.
character. Like you said, you like him, but you like him in a way that's sort of like, all right, sleazebag, just stay on that
You
side.
like him, but you also want to kick him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like watching you. I wouldn't want to be there with you.
That's a good way of putting it. It's like you're fun to watch. We also have, I feel like Murphy and Citizen Z haven't really had a conversation
Never.
together prior to this episode because Citizen Z was always talking about Murphy to someone else as an asset, as a piece of property, as something that needed to be protective and shipped. So I actually thought this conversation that they have at the top of the episode, when Murphy hijacks his transmission, I thought it was interesting because it's like, because Murphy is immediately belligerent, and I was like, why is that? Citizen Z is nothing but nice. And then it's like, oh yeah, it's because Citizen Z probably never talked to him like a person.
Citizen Z
Right.
never talked to him at all. Ever.
Yeah.
This was their
Ever.
first conversation,
Well, it's the
which
ki-
was
it-
fascinating.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing. I mean, Murphy, I think, centers. He sort of centers his aggression at Citizen Z, because here's the guy who's been telling Operation Bite Mark where to go, what to do, for the last 2 years, and he was the package, and he's sick and tired of being considered the package. So he sees himself from the point of view of Citizen Z as this guy just looks at me as a package, not knowing that Citizen Z, hey, he's actually an all right guy.
Yeah.
So I think that's where his aggression just comes out. And,
I also think if you hear a phone ringing in the apocalypse after many years of not having to answer the phone, and you are already maybe inclined to hate phones, which is right here.
It's another Walking Dead reference.
If you don't leave a message, it wasn't that important. I'm just saying.
Gotta say, it looks like they did speak at the end of season 1, but according to Mike in the live chat. But yeah, that doesn't take away the fact that their conversations primarily revolve around him being a thing.
Yeah. Also, just a shout out to the prop department because I loved that phone. I've never seen a phone like that.
Yeah, what a weird little
those
phone.
phones are awesome. It was actually in the script. It said a sexy 1970s phone, and I remember the prop department brought me 3 phones, and I was like, guys, this isn't right. I'm a bit of I love mid-century modern architecture, and I really, really like that kind of decor. And I was like, no, I pulled it up on my phone. I was like, we need something like this. And they looked at me and like, oh yeah, we can order those online, no problem.
Nice.
I was like,
so
yes.
Great.
Those kind of phones though are just they're pretty sexy actually, I think.
They're pretty great. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the most unique phone I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I do wanna ask as like a side note, how do you guys feel about Kaya being his co-host?
I love it.
Kaya in the Skya. I dig it.
It's good for him to have a co-host, I think.
I think so too. I think he's been talking at the ether and the void for so long that it's nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of with and just somebody to be fun, to have a conversation with.
Yeah.
That's got to be really nice. And for DJ as well, it must be nice having non-zombie people to play off of as well.
I think so. I think he's really enjoyed having to, having the interaction. I think every actor craves that interaction. That's why you're doing that craft, is because you want to be bouncing off of another person, because it's like it's the only other art form similar in the way of music that is it evaporates. If there's nothing there to capture it, it's just gone. And so that's why paintings are always set in stone. Photography, it's set in stone. Film or television, it's set in stone. But when you have theater, it's a one-time thing.
It's there and then it's gone.
Yeah, it's there and then it's gone. When you have a live performance of music, if it's not recorded, it's there and then it's gone. And I think that's what people who are drawn to that really thrive off of. And, to be able to capture that is even more an exciting thing, because, they know that, I know. I'm going too long on that one.
No. You're fine. But do you guys have anything else to say about Murphytown and Citizen Z before we move on to one hell of a stinger that we get for this episode?
Let's do it.
So Doc and Addie make it back to Ma and Pa Kettle's house to find a toddler Lucy running around playing with zombies and a little blue doll.
And so cute.
And Pa Kettle comes out looking much more put together, thank God, than we feared. Because there were times where we've been speculating a lot this season, like whether or not they were going to be decayed, like by the time our group got back. So I'm glad to see he's in good spirits. Less glad to see that he's shooting at them. That's kind of a bummer.
He might not be a good shot.
Here's hoping.
I hope you're terrible. No.
You'll find out next week.
Yep.
I'm sure we will.
But
that's a thing, and we have she looks like she's like 8.
I would say 6.
I would say 6, maybe 5. That sort of.
She's
that
got
sort of
Darrin
age.
Syndrome,
Is that the accelerated?
I'm just saying, I'm just gonna leave it like that.
Okay, fine.
That's all I'm gonna say, man.
Although, when you're working with a young actor like that, are you worried about the makeup scaring them at all?
No. I the thing is, the young actors that you get on the show are always,
they know what's going on.
They're too wise beyond their years sometimes. I'm like, what happened to you? Don't you want a childhood? It's like, what's up with this? why are you actually actively Twitter? Like, and savvy about this media stuff. It's like, what's going on with you? No, stop. Be a kid. Go play.
Well, it looks. I mean, the plus side is that this set and the crew that you guys have, they are a fun group to play with. Like, again, everybody's so professional, but like, having been there ourselves, we can definitely say it's a lot of fun.
It's a blast.
I think that just about does it for this episode. Do we have time for some rapid fire predictions?
I think
Your
so.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right,
Steven
cool. I'll go first. They're gonna have to kill Ma and Pa Kettle to get Lucy.
I think they're going to take him with them.
Ooh. I would
Road
like that.
trip.
On a broader sense of predictions, again, as Scorpion predicting, or Hector kind of being wise with his words, he says to Warren, a Scorpion will change you more than you will change him, and she killed him, and now she's taking his army, and I think it's that really interesting viewpoint that Murphy is becoming more and more the good person in the zombie apocalypse, and Warren is becoming more and more about the mission and losing the morality behind the decisions. So that's going to be interesting to see how that develops.
Yeah, and not to mention he knows she's coming too.
Yeah,
so.
Eventually.
Exactly. Well, she was there, and he knows it. Well, again, I think that just about wraps it up. Abram, do you have any other upcoming projects that you can talk about that you would like people to know? Or we know with NDAs and with the season still kind of wrapping up post, it's kind of hard to talk about.
Yeah, it's like the things that I'm working on right now are all kind of like, I don't know how much I can say. I wish I could say more, but no, I mean, that I'm in the middle of writing a feature script on, it's pretty fun. And then I'm also, talking with the Carl and them about what's going to happen in the future of Z Nation, and you guys' predictions are interesting. You left out the aliens and the cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. It's coming in, but no, I'm just kidding.
We're getting mole people, guys.
More aliens?
Totally
More aliens?
Well, cannot say.
Well, that's just like the beginning of the invasion, the arrival and everything. No, I'm kidding.
That's a good point.
Just yelling, Megan.
Kang and CoHost are just hanging out in a spaceship above Earth, going foolish Earthlings.
Well, and our fake spoiler for anything that we don't actually want to spoil is, and then the aliens came down and stuff
kill
went
everyone.
crazy. So
There you go.
I-
Either that or you just do, what is it, Kylo Ren? You just...
Just smash up a desk for literally no reason.
can we make those sound effects again? Because that was perfect.
Wow, when he went... Like, yeah, that's my imitation of Kylo Ren getting really pissed off.
I'm
Like,
so happy
if that's
right
his,
now.
If that's his mastery of the dark side of the Force, it's like, dude, really? Seriously?
Oh my god.
Oh,
I was not expecting to end this panel with shade, but I am so happy right
I get
now.
your joke now. According to Mike on Twitter, Darrin Syndrome is when an actor gets replaced on a TV show.
No, I'm just joking.
I get it.
I'm just joking.
That's
like,
funny, though.
That's a joke, but of course, like, yeah. So,
I get it.
TV
who was that? Was that
Took me
Mike?
a
Did you
couple
say that
minutes.
was Michael?
Mike
Michael.
Mike New York.
Mike New York. Hey, Mike New York. That was a good call, dude.
Good job. Way to pick up on something we were all clueless
Thank
about.
you for being
that was me
trope
being
savvy.
silly.
All right. Well, again, cannot say thank you enough, Abram, for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure talking to you about this episode. Where can people go if they want to keep up with you?
You can go to @TCAbram on Twitter, and you can go to my website, www.abramcox.com, and I'll be updating it over the holidays.
Fantastic.
You can go to the website next month.
Again, thank you so much. Michelle, where can people go to keep up with you?
You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen and here at AfterBuzz on Thursdays as well, doing Criminal Minds at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and YouTube at Kiaxet. That is KIAXET. I am also on Snapchat at Kia Prime. We're here for Z Nation on Mondays, Star Wars Rebels on Tuesdays, Arrow on Wednesdays. We alternate between Robots in Disguise and Ruby on Thursdays. This week it's going to be Ruby, and the Arrow crossover is coming up. It's going to be 4 shows. It's going to be insane. So come back, watch things. It's going to be awesome.
That's going to be hilarious.
I don't know what we're going to do, but things are going to occur.
I'm Megan Salinas. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I write articles for The Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out. Thank you to everybody in the hashtag, everybody in the live chat. Thank you again, Abram, for joining us.
Thank you.
We will see you all next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.